first of all, thank you both for being here to talk about the experience that you have had. And maybe just give our audience a little bit of background to who you are and what you do. We don't have a video today, so we'll have maybe Eva, if you can just start by talking a little bit about what Group does, what you do at the organization, just to give our audience a little bit of context.
Yes, so my name is Eva. I'm head of Group Talent Attraction and Talent Management, and I joined Group actually exactly 2 years ago. So there when I joined, we are leading producer of carton board on folding cartons. So what does this mean? So for example, the thing you have here on the sticker, all made of paper or also carton board, could be made by us, for example. Or when you go to a pharmacy store, picking up your medicine, carton board, so the box, could be from us. We do not know, but because it's not labeled on it.
Let's say it is.
It could be. Yeah, and actually, we have been on a growth path the last 2 years, acquired a big one, so we acquired actually 4 companies within 1 year. And this led us to also a huge increase of employees. So when I joined the company, we have been around 10,000 employees worldwide. And then now we have almost 16,000.
And Leah, maybe you can just give a bit of background into your role at Deloitte and what the connection that you have with Group as well.
Yes, sure. Hello, I'm Leah. I do implement SuccessFactors recruiting and also Eightfold, both technical and functional wise. And I've been the workstream lead for the recruiting Eightfold at Group. So happy to talk about our experience here.
And Eva, just touching on what you just said then, you said, you joined the organization, had 10,000 employees, but you acquired 4 other companies at that time. Is that something that was a driver to why you were looking for a new solution? And, can you give us a bit of context about what the business challenges were that you were trying to overcome when you were going through the selection phase?
So Group was or is quite an established company in Europe, and it's family-owned in Austria. So the majority is family-owned, and which means that we have also our values are long-term. And the company was acquired in a traditional way, which is really good because this is, of course, also fitting to the owners. And then there was a change on the C-level, so the CEO changed, and with that also the strategy changed of the company, where more the growth path or the growth part came into it. So actually, also, our culture changed a bit. Because a lot of new people came and joined, which is quite good. And there was a lot of transformation. And then in the end, of course, we decided we need also an HR system to be state-of-the-art, because we didn't have a global one. So we had single solutions in the one or other country, also in the headquarters in Vienna, but there was no global solution for an HR system. So then, of course, we decided on one of our priorities, which is then the HR system. And it took us a while also to decide for, of course, which system you want to take, which implementation partner fits to us. So also the colleagues who said previously, the human fit is quite essential, and it was also for us. So in deciding for Eightfold, ACP, and Deloitte, there was the human fit a big driver for us as well. And in the end, we started off, I think, I do not know when we started the discussions, actually. It was 1.5 years ago? It was quite a long time ago. So it took us a while, but then out of a sudden, with acquisitions, there is a long part before the signing and closing, but then when there is the point in time, you can start working with the new colleagues, you need to be quick. And then we had transitional agreements, transitional service agreements also to fulfill, which means we needed to provide an HR system to a new acquired company, and also for us in the headquarters and in our locations.
So lots to do in a short period of time. And maybe I'd like maybe for the audience to hear a little bit more about why it is that you chose, Eightfold and SuccessFactors together. And it's actually interesting that the previous speaker was talking about they wanted to find a strong partner of SuccessFactors, something that they were already using today. And you said, you were on that journey of looking for a global HRIS system, and then you chose to go with that and Eightfold at the same time. So just kind of curious about why you picked those two solutions together.
Yeah, so of course there are two aspects to it. So first you need to have kind of a legacy fundamental system also for data management where SAP is great for. We have taken a look at several systems, and then I think also the IT department, which supported us a lot and was there from the beginning for us. There are a lot of things to think of in technical terms, which you know, and I'm not going to talk about because actually also I'm the wrong person. Here my colleague Stella can share her experience about that if you should be interested. But in the end, it came down actually to two systems. It was, of course, Workday and SAP. We decided in the end for SAP for several reasons, and for Eightfold, as we thought, that SAP is fine, and it's a great system, but it's not enough for the current talent market.
Okay.
And again here, I want to agree to the colleagues who sat here before. We wanted to have one suite. So a system which is then also able to provide talent management solutions for the future. However, we know that we currently just need talent attraction.
Okay. And Leah, jumping onto that, thinking about organizations that are going through this journey and they know they need that, as you said, that platform solution, one system, but they're thinking maybe we need to overinvest in certain areas. We want to deliver that talent attraction experience. Can you tell us a little bit about how Deloitte do that? You said yourself you implement SuccessFactors recruiting, you do Eightfold implementations. What is it that you offer from a full kind of talent attraction perspective?
Yes, so let me maybe start with saying that in our human capital department, we do focus strongly on the combination of HR, digital enablement, and technology. And we've been a partner with SAP for many years and also implementing a lot of SAP SuccessFactors. So we do have this pool of customers where we know they're very happy with the solution. However, we also know the gaps. And as Eva told here at the round, we're also looking then for how can we fill these gaps. So we're also looking always for additional add-ons. And so apart from this first part being having our own expertise and having the experience, the feedback from customers, what we should maybe offer them to have additional benefits, we also do of course, we follow the market trends. We do our own research. So we launched the Human Capital Trend Study this year, which, with the title "The New Fundamentals of the Boundaryless World," is exactly emphasizes this skill-based approach rather than thinking in strict job titles. And there's where Eightfold comes in with the AI-based skill matching, which a lot of customers are looking forward. And our American colleagues, they are working with Eightfold already for a few years. So we in Europe, we're following this closely, and we're happy to have our first Austrian project with Eightfold and SuccessFactors to also kick-started Eightfold off in Europe.
And touching on that, and you just talked about the study that you did. That skills are driving the way that we're doing that talent acquisition process now and into the future. Eva, was that something that really drove you towards Eightfold? The ability to do that skills-based hiring, rather than maybe the way that you would have traditionally done it, maybe in SuccessFactors, for example.
This, and actually, to be honest, I'm a lazy person. I wanted a system who works for me, and I want a system who works for the recruiter and enables me to be an advisor for the business. And this is possible with Eightfold. And this is one of the main advantages I see. So as the speakers before said as well, the skill matching, the calibration, all this data, actually the interpretation of data I can do with Eightfold together with the system provides me as a basis, enables me to provide better service to the hiring managers, but also to the candidates. And the matching when a candidate, I do not know if you all have checked out how the application process works with Eightfold. So when you go to our job board, for example, the candidate can upload the CV and is then matched to suitable positions. So this is a game changer for the candidates as well, because they get new insights. They might know or get informed about jobs they haven't found before that. And also the recruiters, we nowadays call them talent advisors, because this is what it should be in the future.
Yeah.
They are enabled by the system to do their work more value-based and focus on the advice of the hiring manager, the people part, the consultant part for the candidate and the hiring manager, and help them shape their teams skill-based. Because we all know the talent shortage is there. So, for example, what we have seen is that when a team was struggling finding suitable applicants, especially in the IT department, for example, we also tried to advise the hiring manager to shift the responsibilities, shift the tasks from one person to another, to really try to help them understand what the market and the applicants can offer, and then take what we have, what the applicants are out there who are interested in our company, and find suitable positions for them in the team. And not the other way around, because usually you say, I'm looking for that person with that skills, but this is not the way, it's perfect if it works that way. But it's not always like that.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what you were saying, you know, before perhaps with another system, it's driven by the job. And we are driving it more by the individual. What skills do we actually have that we can access and utilize? Really interesting. But I think maybe some people in the audience might be thinking, you know, we've talked a lot about success factors. How does that work with Eightfold? Why did you make that choice together? And Leah, maybe you can touch on how those two systems benefit each other, because it might be confusing to the audience, the idea, okay, we need to have, you know, two systems in place to deliver this capability, but there are great touch points between those two systems and benefits of having them.
Sure, yeah. A lot of customers, they are asking, why do I need two systems? Is it more effort for me? Why can I not have only maybe Eightfold? But I feel like both systems, they really complement each other. They are not in competition. But we have on the one side, we have SAP, which is just a really well-developed system with all the functionalities, integration. Also, what we always recommend our customers, think about the whole suite. Not only the recruiting part, but also Employee Central as the master data. Then we can have onboarding, we have succession, performance management, and goal. We have everything. Even if you don't need it now, you think about the future. You can have the modules later on. And then when we have Eightfold, where the strong benefit is this AI, the matching the skills. Also, this is a really good introduction in the skill-based organization. If you don't have a whole skill-based organization, it gives you a starting point with the calibration, so to ease it a little bit more. And if we combine it, then we have the benefits with the whole data pool from Eightfold, however, with the stability and this consistent data flow from SAP. So what we did, and what we also recommend, that we don't jump between the systems too often, so that we have our job requisition creation and the approval process also coming then here with a position management tool in SAP. Then we are jumping for the sourcing screen into Eightfold, where all the AI, the data is really benefiting the recruiter, and then going to the offer process and basically finishing in SAP, finishing where we started to have this consistent data flow, also maybe moving on to onboarding or other modules. So I wouldn't see it as a either or. So what both systems, so the strengths of both systems are different, and they really complement each other.
Yeah, and I think we, reflect on that at SAP. I'm from SAP, so I have that experience. But we always talk about, understanding the moments that matter to your organization, to your candidates, to your recruiters, and identifying what the challenges are for your business. So you talked about, we were trying to merge 4 organizations together. We had a short timeline. We've got to think about all the different skills that we might need for what the future of our organization looks like. And therefore, for us, investing in that recruiter experience and using that AI is the bit that's going to make the major impact for us as an organization, and also having a global HRIS platform that everybody can use. So we just, by identifying those key aspects, we can really create a great experience, and maybe, over-investing in certain experiences like the recruit experience is something that's going to make your organization stand apart from the rest. What I also want to maybe touch on, and maybe people in the audience and just thinking about the questions that came up in the last session might be asking or thinking about, is how complex is it to do this? What is it like to actually deliver a project like this? You were looking at a global HRIS solution and Eightfold at the same time as in your selection. How do you then deliver that? I know you had Deloitte here to support you in that experience, but just want to hear kind of maybe an anecdote about what it was like to prepare for that type of project.
We haven't been prepared. The point is, we decided for both systems without considering a big acquisition. Okay. So this was again a game changer. When the decision was made for SAP and Eightfold, actually, then we knew already that it might be possible that we acquire a new company, and then there was the executive presentation for our board where we needed the sign-off for the investment. And then I think the week before we needed to change the whole presentation because it was more and more likely that we get the acquisition, which changed actually the whole business case for the investment.
A week before. Yeah.
Exactly. So we did that, of course, and it was approved because we had transitional service agreements also to fulfill, meaning in half a year after the acquisition, or a couple of months after the acquisitions, we needed to provide 22 sites, or around 20 sites, with a new HR system solution. Employee Central as well as recruitment. In 11 countries, for 3,600 employees, and we still have been in the finalization of the contracts. And I think we had our kickoff mid of November last year, and the transitional service agreement ended end of March this year.
Wow. So you had that deadline that you were really working
We
towards.
had this deadline to fulfill now, which changed actually our whole project, which changed everything in the end. So have we been prepared? How could you prepare? You could have the best laid out plan, but then out of a sudden, maybe the environment changes, which did for us. And what came here into addition is that the maturity of our organization, as we have a lot of plants and sites, and the carton board and folding cartons is a local business. You deliver them mainly via truck, also via train, of course, but it's local. So also the HR work the people do and our colleagues do is local. So there was no global system or something similar. There have been maybe a couple of local systems, but everybody was doing their own stuff. And it was the same for the newly acquired company. So I remember when we had the first call with the colleague who was taking care of talent attraction there, and I asked her, well, we need to set up, our project group for the new project. Who could that be? Who should be involved? And she, well, I think there is a colleague there in Italy and there in France, but I do not know them. Haven't talked to them since 1 year or so, because there was no need.
Right.
So also there was no kind of, established governance structure, meeting structure, collaboration structure on a group level. So we had the challenge of establishing that, getting to know each other, defining recruitment processes, because we did recruitment different. And again, it's a local process in addition, but we needed one global template. We needed one global process. This is what we committed to at the beginning. So we get to know a lot of new colleagues.
Which is nice.
All virtual, which was totally nice, but which was a hell of work, which was really exhausting at some time. But what united us actually was the big picture of having this cool system who supports us, which supports us and also provides us and enables us to do a more mature HR work in the end. And I think we always tried to transport also that story and that picture, and that was creating also motion and movement for the people who have been involved. Because also for them, imagine you have been acquired by another company. You do not know what are their plans. Would you like to close down sites? Would you like to invest? You do not know the people there. You do not know the culture there. And out of a sudden, the first thing you do is implementing a global system.
And maybe let me add on that, they did not even know us, you were internally, but they didn't know us as an external implementation partner. So they came in, they got new colleagues, and also then an implementation partner who knew, okay, the deadline, this is a tough sprint what we're having, so we need to start now. And then we had meetings, so a short introduction. Oh, hey, there's a new person. Nobody know this person. How can we integrate this person? Also, that they know the external implementation partner, which was adding on the complexity.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, for that organizations or the organizations that joined at that time, they weren't part of that selection phase. So kind of selling what you had decided back to them and making sure that they were on board, that must have been a little bit of a challenge at the time to excite them, even though they weren't involved in that selection process.
Oh yeah, this was. And in addition to that, we have the maturity of the sites is so different. The size of the sites is so different. So they might recruit just 5 people a year. Others recruit 100 people a year. So also, some have dedicated recruiters, others have just payroll and admin staff, one person, and then they should be also
doing that.
Doing that in addition. So it was on top on their daily business, and also they needed to do the integration part because of the acquisition. So it was really a hell of work, but I think we created a good spirit and had fun as well. Yes. A lot of Red Bull, at least for me.
Yeah, I guess we made it in time and budget, which is important to say.
That's it, yeah.
But it was definitely a challenge which we successfully delivered.
Yeah, because we sit here together,
Yeah, you're friends. You're still friends at the end.
Right,
No,
the best proof the customer doesn't hate us.
That is the
we
best
are still
outcome.
on for the future. So we could definitely do it. So I guess there are also some improvements made for the next waves or other customers. So change management, really important. Getting all the people in the beginning, having a proper, we couldn't do it otherwise, but for an ideal case, this would be awesome. As well as we have, like in theory, we are very good connected, as with SAP, Eightfold, they have their partnership with Deloitte, we have the partnership with both of them, so we set up for success.
Yeah.
We just, the framework needs to be there as well, but...
And are there any learnings from you, Leah? You were saying, this is for Deloitte, it's a new kind of area in the US. You've already been doing those Eightfold implementations, bringing that to other markets. What was the kind of big learning for you working with both SuccessFactors and Eightfold together?
So working with both of them worked great. So also having the American colleagues, so we could have, they could help me with their experience. What is a little bit different is how maybe we deliver projects in Europe, also how the German-Austrian market works, how the customer wants their solution. And what we discussed before, the GDPR, this is a whole different level where we have to think about it. And there was like, okay, here Eightfold, we need your help here because our American colleagues, they didn't do it in this. They didn't do it like we have to do it. However, this worked fine. I feel now after having this project, we know our lessons learned. We also, every customer, when they're seeing Eightfold, there are so many functionalities, it can be customizable. But as an implementation partner, I think a good thing to do is to say no to certain features if we have a time-sensitive project, because otherwise they are overwhelmed, and then the people are not willing to use the system how we designed it to be, because it's just too much. With the daily work, I know Eva had so much work to do, and but she was very heavily involved in that. And if you have other team members, and they feel like it's just stress on top of the daily work, then they don't like the system, and that's what we are trying to avoid. So, just saying no to some functionalities doesn't mean from an implementation partner, we don't want you now to have these cool benefits. It's just, we know this will add to your stress, and we know that it is maybe for the future better, and that's what we actually did. And I feel like, looking back, sometimes saying no to some features or some customizations didn't hurt the project, but benefited it.
No, and it's a partnership. It's not we're going to go live and then we're going to walk away. Yes. It's something that's going to grow with the organization. And you said the different levels of maturity in the different areas. I think as they start to use the tool, you'll get that reflection back to you. And you are live. That's an exciting thing. We have to say that as well. So do you have any reflections after going live? I mean, I know it's quite soon. So any initial reflections on the solution and what you've been using?
I think the best reflection or the best insight we have or came to my mind is that we did the right decision. And I think this is the most important point. And also that we have been able to have fun together as well with our HR colleagues, with our implementation partner, because we have a couple of waves ahead. We want to implement really globally,
Yeah.
which means we had a good start. We have also a couple of figures to prove that it was a good start. We have a couple of talent advisors who are so keen to also help developing Eightfold even further because
Eightfold
they see the
experts.
potential. Yeah, I also talked to some guys from Eightfold yesterday because there is so much we see the system can do for us. And this is, I think, the biggest success you can see also with the people using it. And then they will again spread the word. They will explain to their colleagues, to the new joiners, to the hiring managers, because when people are passionate about something, they will distribute it.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, when you're able to spark the fire in the people, then it's half the rent of the implementation. And I think this we achieved now after 2 months, but which was not quite, you know, it was not the intention because we couldn't know which features will be perceived by whom in the best way. And of course, again, here it's individual. It depends on the maturity, it depends on the recruiting style of the recruiter or talent advisor, on the environment, the local talent market, and so much more. But Eightfold is able to give everybody something you really like.
Yeah.
And the feedback was quite good also in the several surveys we did afterwards since Go Live.
That's great. I love talent advisor. It's a great term. So it's nice that they have that kind of that role and they feel like they are committed and supporting the organization going forward with your growth plans, the way that you're going to be doing things in the future. And Leah, I think we're coming close to the time, so I just wanted to kind of wrap up as well and just think about if you have any final comments to the audience about what they could maybe think about when preparing for this type of project, or think about, you know, your best tips and guidance from your experience here with Group as well. And it seems like you've created a good friendship and a partnership here, so that's maybe the one thing to look out for, thinking about the people that you will actually work with as well.
Yes, sure. So what we already talked about, but maybe I want to emphasize this again, because for Deloitte we always offer change management, and this is the first thing customers just cross out because of the money or the time, I don't know. But it's like change management, I don't need it. I just write 3 emails, and that's not it. Especially if we have now with AI, this is a big word, but half of the people don't understand it correctly. So really enabling the people, I would say, really consider, do change management. If you don't want to buy it from someone else, do it yourself. If you have the professional expertise here, but this is one big part of the projects. And then what we would recommend probably from this experience is also having a common scope and alignment in the beginning. Okay, what are functionalities which we will definitely need, and what are some like fancy add-ons we maybe can, if the time is, if it's time sensitive and we are running into some issues or other things or unexpected outcomes here, which we can push back, so that we have the implementation partner, also the customer, we know what we are working on, what will benefit the customer in the end. So these are 2 things I would give for every new project on the way. And then, of course, having a good relationship, really showing them you're working towards one goal. I mean, our goal is to make them successful. So this is one system. They will use it every day. As an implementation partner, I can also do, technically wise, I can code it and then I'm gone. But that's not the goal. I want them to really use the system, be happy with it, and then be excited for new functionalities, for new feature, and to grow with the system. So bringing this, establishing this relationship, also, maybe informing them about, what the future can hold for them, even though it's not the first wave or the first go live.
So lots of takeaways. I think one of them is have fun. The other one is a Red Bull subscription, I think, as you said. But
don't be too tempted by the functionalities.
That's true. Yeah. Keep the plan in place. But
yes.
Thank you again for joining me and answering my questions. And we haven't had the time today to do the questions in the audience, but we're all here all day. I'm up at the SAP stand, so if you want to learn a little bit more about SuccessFactors as well, you are SuccessFactors customers, you can come and have a chat with us and have a chat with both of us today. So thank you again for taking the time. We'll hand over to the next presenters as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.